on Genesis 37, 1 through 5. It says, "And Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the son of Bela, and with the son of Ziplah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all, his brethren hated him, and could not speak peacefully unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told his brethren, and they hated him yet even more." Then we're going to go over to 41 and 39 through 43. "And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as God has showed thee all these, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto the word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck." I'm going to title my message this evening, "The Perspective of Joseph." Pastor, can you pray? You may be seated. I really hope that I can encourage somebody this evening with this message. The story of Joseph, as we know, is about a heroic redemption and forgiveness. Joseph, as we know, was the most loved son of Jacob, and his brother knew this, and it did make them angry. When Jacob gave Joseph the coat of many colors, I believe the brothers even became angrier as they could see how much more that the father was showing the love for them. And then, to add to their anger, Joseph had a dream. And instead of Joseph keeping this dream to himself about what God gave him, he decided to tell his brothers what the dream was. And the dream was about how that he was going to be rulers over them. When he gets older, he's going to rule over his family. And this really made them mad, which I understand, because he was more or less boasted. He didn't really know what was going to happen. He just felt the dream. Later we'll see what happens, but he felt the dream was he was just going to rule over them, and he told his brothers that, and they got upset with him, and rightfully so. And then he told his father about the dream, and his father got upset with him for saying such things about how he's going to rule over them. And as the story goes, when Jacob one day asked Joseph to go look for his brothers, and he began to search for his brothers, and he arrived at Shechem where the brothers were supposed to be. And instead of just going back and telling his parents or his father that they weren't there, he began to ask the people that was there where his brothers were, and they were at another place that they traveled to Dothan. So Joseph decided to Dothan just to see what his brothers were doing. And when the brothers seen him coming from afar off, they plotted to kill Joseph. They wanted to kill him for the way he was acting. But then they decided that they shouldn't kill him because they didn't want the blood of Joseph upon their hands. So they decided that they were going to throw him into a pit and leave him there to die. Then once they threw him into that pit, and they got his coat of many colors and put the blood on it, so the father would think that he was killed by an animal or something. They seen the Israelites coming. And then when they seen the Israelites coming, they sold Joseph as a slave to the Israelites. And then Joseph went to the potter's house. And at the potter's house, Joseph was walking around, and he had to be careful what he was doing because potter's wife had an eye for him. She kept looking at him, and she wanted to be with him. And one day when everybody was gone, Joseph, thinking he was strong enough, he went back into that house where Pharaoh's wife was alone. And when she was there alone, she reached out to grab him. And when she grabbed him, he fled from the house. And then she screamed that he tried to lay with her. And the guards come and got him and put him in prison. And it's like today, if we do that, sometimes we go out into places and we think that we're strong enough as people to go to certain places to witness to people. But we got to realize that we really can't go into some of those places and witness to people. Some people, they think they can go into bars and witness to people, and they think it's okay. But I don't believe that it's okay, because I think it'd be easier to fall if you were in a bar trying to witness to somebody, that you're going to slip up if you keep continuing to go back to those places. Because we don't have to go to those places to witness to people. There's any other places we can go and be safe and guard ourselves. Then he went to the prison. But Joseph was in God's favor. God's favor was upon Joseph. It may not seem it, but it was. While he was in the jail, the chief's butler and the chief's baker, Potiphar's chief baker and butler, had dreams. And Joseph told them that he could tell them those dreams. And he told them one of them will be reinstated into the kingdom, and the other one would be put to death. After this, Pharaoh had a dream, and he could not find anyone who could interpret that dream. And while in prison, sorry, I lost my spot. While in prison, he was told that the cupbearer told him that he remembered Joseph interpreted their dreams about being restated and the other one being put to death. So Pharaoh got Joseph to come before him and asked Joseph if he could interpret the dream for him. And when he told him what the dream was, he told him that there'd be 7 years of abundance in the land of Egypt, followed by 7 years of famine. Joseph recommended a discerning of wise men be put in charge, and that food should be collected in the good years and stored for use during the famine. This seemed like a good idea to Pharaoh, so Pharaoh thought that Joseph would be the best person for this job. So he put him in charge. This is where Joseph seen his dream come to pass when he was a boy about becoming the rulers over his brothers. Joseph waited for many years and gone through many trials and hard times. But Joseph never gave up. After many years, he seen his dream come to pass. This is good so that Joseph could help his family. God made it good so that he could help his family. But at the time, he didn't see that and he didn't know it. I believe he was boasting. But now that he sees that he's able to help his family, to help them with the food that they need to survive. I know many of us know this story of Joseph and read through it many a times. And for some reason, I never put it together of how much Joseph went through before he seen the dream God gave him finally unfold. But through it all, Joseph never looked back. I believe he kept just holding on to that promise God has showed him as a child, and he never gave up. He just kept the faith and trusted in Jesus for his dream to come to pass. And as he waited on Jesus, he seen his dream unfold. Some people would have quit after the first trial or maybe the second trial, but many people would have gave up if they had to wait like Joseph waited. I want you to know I'm speaking to myself as well this evening. Even while studying for this message, I went through some things, and I would question myself why I'm going through such things. And I would remind myself of Joseph when he went through before his dream come true. And as Pastor was mentioning tonight about somebody might have been going through a situation this week, and you just need God to take care of that situation. I want you to know tonight that God is here tonight, and he can take care of that situation, and you'll see it come to pass. I believe the message is for someone who is in this place this evening. God had spoke to you, or had someone have a word for you about what God has in store for you. It may have been months or even years, and you never seen anything happen as of yet. But I'm here to tell you to not give up on what God has promised you. It may be hard, but get a hold of that promise again, because God has promised you something, and it will come to pass. God will never break a promise. We need to get a hold of that promise and begin to have faith that we once had when God showed us to us. I will open with everyone here. I'll be open with everyone here this evening. I must get a hold of what God promised me again as well and trust God that it will come to pass. We need to get excited and rejoice and thank God for what he has promised. We got to thank God and worship God not only when we're on the mountaintops, but we got to worship God when we're going through the valleys and going through the troubles and situations. Someone in this place, while waiting for your promise from God, may have gone through some hardship, financial problems, heartaches, spiritual battles, and it may seem like one thing happened after the next, and you cannot see that promise or dream anymore that God had promised you. But I want you to get a hold of that promise tonight again and begin to thank God, because it will come to pass. We just got to keep holding on to it. I am here this evening to let someone know that your promise is about to come true. You may feel like you have hit rock bottom, just like when Joseph hit the bottom of the pit, and you could never imagine God using you for whatever you are called to do, whether it be to teach a Bible study or teach Sunday school or be a foreign mission or missionary or being a preacher. If I could just encourage you this evening to grab back a hold of your dream and get that vision that God's going to allow it to come to pass, and you will see it come to pass. God is getting ready. The harvest is ready, and God's promises are going to come to pass, and God's going to begin to use us in mighty ways. We're going to see all those promises begin to unfold because we need to reach this lost world. You may not feel like you deserve what God has in store for you, but it doesn't matter how you feel you deserve whatever was promised to you. You deserve whatever was promised to you if your heart is right with God. As we are going through our different trials, we need to remember God is molding us and shaping us to be who he wants us to be. Every trial we go through should make us stronger, and God is preparing for us when we reach the goal that God has for us. He wants us to become stronger so that we can do what it is that he has. If Joseph was not thrown into the pit and sold to be a slave by his brothers, he would have never became a slave to Potiphar, and he would not have been thrown in jail for being falsely accused, and then he would have not interpreted the dream for Pharaoh. But once he did that, he followed the dream. He seen his vision. We see all the different things that Joseph went through, all the heartaches, all the trials, everything he went through. And I'm sure many of us here tonight have gone through many trials and wondering we're going to get to see that promise that God had for us. If we could all just continue to trust in God and trust him and believe in him, that promise is going to come to pass. And this is what we need to do tonight, is just grab a hold of the call and the vision God showed you, where you could start trusting in God again and believe you will get to where he wants you to be. Like I said, I, for one, have to get a hold of God has for me and realize that to never give up. And God never gave up on me. He's just trying to make me stronger as he is you. We go through certain situations and circumstances all the time just so that we can become stronger and used for God in different ways. We all have a different kind of calling, and God wants to use us in different ways. So God has to mold us and shape us. I know some may be tired here tonight. If we could all just stand this evening and the music come back. I know some of you may be tired and want to go home and relax because you had a long day. And I can understand and I can relate to that. But first, could we find a place around this altar tonight and grab a hold of that dream or that vision that God has shown for us and start believing again and trusting God? Church family, let's not allow the enemy to take those dreams away. Let's get them back. I do believe God has something great for someone in this place tonight. If you would just reach out and trust God. If we could just forget about the time and what's going on after and just worship God with everything that we have and get lost in his presence. I want everyone in this place tonight to know that no matter how young or old you are, God has something for you. No matter your age, you never missed out on the calling that God put into your life. You have been gone through many trials and figured God has taken back the calling or forgetting it. But this is not the case. God has not put you through each of the situations in your life. He put you through the situations to stronger so you'll be able to do what's called. Don't give up. Get ready. God is about to use you for greater things than you could ever imagine. I want to be an encouragement to everyone in this place, from the youngest to the oldest, to take the first step of faith and come to this altar and praise God. God, in any way that you know how. Maybe it's been a while since you shouted or danced or ran the aisle. Maybe if you stepped out and give God our all, we will bring some things back to life and take things back the old enemy has been trying to take from us. You may be sitting in your pew thinking to yourself, if I could just feel God moving over me, I would take that first step and worship him and step out onto the altar. Maybe tonight God has been walking by the end of your pew this evening throughout this whole service saying, maybe if you would just take that first step of faith and move to the altar, I will take care of you in your every need. Church family, can we just come, all step out and unite together as God to move in a miraculous way in this place. And as we begin to reach out to God, I do believe something great is going to happen today, this very day. You may be tired of working all day or have some things on your mind, but I believe if you just begin to worship God, you will feel revived. Let's not make this just another service, but let's make it a service that we can remember. By giving Jesus our all, let's not worry about who's around us, and let's just worship God with everything that we have and allow him to move through this place. And I believe if we allow him to move, that we will see the miraculous happen in this place. Church family, if we could just come around this altar tonight and worship God and ask God to move in a miraculous way. We all talk about how we want to see a mighty move of God and how we want to have a move like the old times. But to see that, we have to step out and we have to worship God like they did. And we have to press through things and magnify God and give it our all and just give God all we can.